I usually fall off the stage, not on the stage, so that was a new one. And I'm sorry, but it is Reprise. I always say with a couple more usability sprints, it'll be a breeze with Reprise, but we're more like Photoshop right now. But that's neither here nor there. Hi, I am Jen Steele. I'm the VP of Marketing at Reprise, and I want to talk about selling your product with your product. I want to talk a bit about how, well, that's really product-led growth. I want to tie that to demos. I promise it's not going to be that laborious, I hope, and why y'all are really the MVPs of this entire thing. So anytime you hear product-led growth, anytime you hear demo, you should be like, that's me, assuming you're mostly product marketers in here. And I thought I should let you know that I was once one of you. No, before I was a CMO, I was a product marketer. I did product marketing at Amazon Web Services. I did product marketing at a big data company for Index, and that was developer marketing. And then I was VP of product marketing at Bizible, which is now something like what Adobe Marketo Measure. I'm like, no product marketer was in the room when they renamed that thing. And I've spent more than 10 years telling product stories and honestly owning demos. And the other thing I should tell you is that I'm here to talk about selling your product with your product, or PLG. I'm actually kind of a skeptic. When this first started coming out, I was like, what the heck do you think we've been doing this whole darn time? I've been a product marketer for like a decade. I'm telling my product story. I am using my product to sell my product. Why am I here if I haven't been doing this now shiny new thing? Sorry. And not that I'm bitter. And the other piece is that I used to always say, kind of sarcastically, you know, what we used to call freemium. So I've obviously come around a bit, or I wouldn't be talking about it up here, either that or I'm the biggest fake in the world. And then I want to talk a little bit about selling your product with your product is trendy, but does anybody ever feel like your CEO is like the underpants gnomes? Like, PLG, profit. Right? Meanwhile, you're sitting here going, okay, so now instead of helping my sales team tell my product story, I'm going to have to tell it on the website without any human supervision. Honestly, getting the sales team out of the process might actually help, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so you're sitting in a room, your head of marketing, your head of sales, somebody who is, you know, above you says you need to do PLG, and the first thing you think is, well, I need to start drinking now, at least if you're me. And I'd like to say that unlike there's a company that shall not be named that actually laid off their entire product marketing team in order to do PLG. By the way, I know a really good senior level product marketer if anybody needs one. It is actually your time to shine. And it's time to shine because you know the people, right? I mean, you might have dusty personas, but you should probably know who you're talking to. You know the product. I mean, that's literally your job, is to be the translation layer between whatever you sell and whoever buys it. And most importantly, you know the story, right? You know the words. You know the pieces that are really going to be compelling about this. And hey, maybe you should tell it through a product. And you might say, but I'm not a product manager. And then you might say, thank goodness, because spending that much time in Jira would drive me insane. But okay, so you might have more limited influence around freemium and free trial versions, right? But as I said, PLG is selling your product with your product, and that's kind of what you've been doing the whole dang time. It's basically a demo, right? If you're showing a product, whether it's a screenshot, whether it's a video, whether it's a free version, whether it's a salesperson boring somebody to tears with a demo, not that any of my salespeople would do that, of course, but it's selling your product with your product. It's a demo. And so if you think about, I just realized my sales team is sitting in the back. Sorry, guys. But fundamentally, it's a demo. And I like thinking of it like a demo, and I like thinking of it like you're going to own the demo. And I'm just asking you to take a step back, because most of the time we think of the demo as a sales rep clicks through something in front of somebody else, right? And I'll get into why this is going to break. Well, product-led growth, spoiler alert. But now we need to think about, it's basically guided demos, so people see their own demos, and the live sales demos for usually sales reps to walk people through. Because when you go back to the basic definition of demo, what is it? Well, it's a demonstration of product or technique. You can actually even see in B2C world, isn't a commercial basically a demo? You see somebody eating a potato chip. Not that you need to learn how to eat a potato chip, but it's a demo. I probably should have gotten a better example for that one. Okay, so hopefully y'all are with me, and so you can kind of think of this world as you are basically trying to get people to give you money for your product. You're using your product to do it, and you can think of it in lots of different ways, but I like to think of it as either I'll use PLG, except that, as I said, I'm a skeptic and I don't like the word, or I'll just call it a demo. So hopefully now, the rest of my presentation will actually make sense, because I'm going to be talking more about demos. So let's talk about demo ownership. So how many of you feel like I own the demo? I'm in product marketing and I own the demo. Awesome. I was worried I'd get 0 hands. So in some companies, it varies by size, it varies by what you're selling, it varies by how involved your sales engineers are. But what if we talk about a guided demo, and so who owns it on the website? Well, probably product marketing. Like usually in product marketing, you own all the product pages on your website. You're begging the product team for screenshots to show on your product pages for launch. Anybody else ever do that? And so while demo ownership varies by story, I do need to say that varies by company. I ruined my punchline there, but varies by company. Product marketers really own the story across the entire customer journey. And so how are you going to think about this? Well, I own the story. I own the journey. Maybe I own parts of the demo. Maybe I only have influences over the demo. I think somebody should make a drinking game as to how many of us put the word persona on our slides for today. But, because, when Misha said that, I was like, crap, I have persona on my slides. But you do know your personas. Even if you don't have them in a dusty bin, even if you don't have fundamentally, like, something super fleshed out and you've spent $200,000 on the consultants, you still know who you're talking to, right? That's your job. And then do the funny thing of talking to them and find out how they like to buy products like yours. I'm not saying we all need to stand next to somebody in the shower, because that was dedication, but do your customer research and find out how they like to buy things. And then fundamentally, you will find that as you figure out the journey, if your buyers are not 3,000 years old, they want to see, touch, and feel the product. This is the whole thing behind product-led growth, is that fundamentally, B2B buyers want to buy like B2C. And B2C is way out ahead of B2B in this, right? I'm going to digress for one moment, because if you think about this, imagine we sold software like we sold cars. I don't have this on the slide. But so when you buy a car, you've seen a commercial, it has a car. You go, you touch and feel the car, et cetera, right? But if we sold software like we sold cars and we used this standard like marketing stuff, so thought leadership, let's talk about the value of transportation in general. I'm not going to show you a car. Okay, so now you're on my website. I want to really drive you to download something. I'm going to have you download a travel planning guide. No pictures of a car. And then I'm going to have you sign up to visit the dealership, still no pictures of the car, where the dealer is going to ask all the discovery questions and not show you a car. And then finally, the second time you go to the dealership, you actually get to see the car, but you cannot touch it. Like, this is kind of idiotic. This is why people are like, hey, sales teams, can we just see the expletive deleted product? Can we just touch it? Can we just feel it? I'm not going to buy a car. First of all, that's a laborious process, and I just can't be bothered. But I'm not going to buy a car without feeling it and touching it. Why am I going to spend just as much, if not more, right, on software without touching it and feeling it? Now, okay, we know that the buyer probably, I have heard of product marketers who, like, the people don't want to touch and feel the product, but that was like in the manufacturing industry, et cetera, so my apologies if this doesn't apply to you. Okay, so how to do the demo, right? How to do the touch, the feel, the demo changes by the marketing journey stage. and I'm gonna give you kind of examples of using your product as a demo of sorts through the journey. So maybe that's a screenshot and a thought leadership piece, right? And, or it's, I once worked with a head of demand who was really brilliant in this because he would have a customer come in, do a webinar, tell how to do the thing, and use screenshots of our product all through the webinar. That was phenomenal. They happened to have our name brand on them. I wonder, right? But those went over super well because you've got customers talking to your customers, but you've got some demo screens of a product in there. Folks love clicking around on a few screens to see the value. Oh, that's how you do it. Like, people tend to be tactile, right? It's like the blister packaging that has the little thing where it's like, feel the velvet on the teddy bear, right? Or push the button and hear Buzz Lightyear say his thing. Obviously, signing up for a free version or trial, get a live demo from a sales human. I would encourage your sales humans to show the product in the first call, please. Disco calls by themselves are just annoying, and I say that as having been a software buyer for a long time. Hey, get a clickable guided demo to share with internal stakeholders, right? So let's say my head of product marketing is sitting right in front of me. Her name is Angela. So let's say Angela sees a phenomenal product, and my calendar's stupid. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my calendar's just dumb. And so she's got a choice here. She can get me on a sales call, which I'm never gonna wanna take, not gonna lie. Or she can get a clickable guided demo where all of the cool bits of the product and its benefits are highlighted in a clickable guided demo. And then I only have to take 5 minutes to see how the dang thing works. I don't have to talk to a salesperson, but Angela gets my buy-in, especially since I'm the one giving her the budget. So, and then as a product marketer, I just love that use case because I've written about 1,000 one-pagers probably throughout my career, and I'm fairly certain exactly 0 were ever read. So give people a product snack, something to taste, something to see, something to feel. Give them a demo they can give themselves. Because as much as I love sales, hi guys, as much as I love sales, I don't always want to talk to them. And then of course you can demo, effectively, upsell and cross-sell messages inside the product, right? You can say, hey, did you need to do this? And have a screenshot come up, even inside the product, right? There are a lot of companies that make great guides. And so if you think of that really, really holistically, it's how do I figure this out? And again, you own the story. You largely own the journey, right? Because you need to make sure that your salespeople aren't saying stupid things, right? Because you need to be consistent with your marketing messages about the product. You need to work with your CS team. Right? Product marketing interacts with more, I'm telling you something you already know, interacts with more departments in the company than anybody but the CEO. So it's reasonable for you to say, what's the journey? How do we demo the product? Okay, Jen, that's a lot. So how do we become the PLG MVP? And I wanted to get a few more 3-letter acronyms in there, but then I thought that was a little ridiculous. So it's a lot, right? Oh my gosh, how do I get a clickable demo? I got some sales reps that'll talk to you about it if you want to talk to them, but I'm not going to pitch. So how do I get a clickable demo? Oh my gosh, it takes forever to build freemium, and how do I then get product involved? How do I do this? How do I do that? And this is where you really say, breathe. Breathe. A few of you are breathing, that's good. And what's the low-hanging fruit? What can I do right now? Can I work with my content creation team to get more screenshots in so that people can see my product earlier? Can I, and it depends because some of us have stricter brand guidelines than others, can I create a quick and dirty animated, I call it GIF, whatever, animated GIF, thank you, animated GIF to show an action in the product? And then can I put that on my website? There are some simple things you can do that really allow you to reach out and have the customer touch the product so that they can, feel the felt on the teddy bear. And then, honestly, okay, maybe things have changed, but when I was a product marketer, I felt like I was always screaming for resources, always. They'd be like, launch a product. I'm like, great, get me screenshots of the product. And they're like, well, we don't have those yet. And I'm like, okay. Can I see a demo of the product? Well, we don't have that yet either. Okay. I mean, to the extent that at one point in time, we were doing a big launch at Marketo Summit. This was at Visible. We were being acquired at the same summit, but that's neither here nor there. And I said, I just need something demoable by the conference. And it was barely demoable to the extent that I had to tell the sales team, don't click this, don't click this, don't click this. This was just me feeling your pain for a moment. And this is where looking at tools, there are actually tools aimed at product marketers now to help you tell product stories, right? There's this whole suite of video tools. There's a whole suite of demo creation tools, screenshots, animated GIFs. All of that has become a lot more powerful so that you can become self-serve. And then it changes your day-to-day, though. So if you're thinking, what's the demo, what's the journey, and really drilling down on this, well, you have even more cross-functional communication. You're probably embedded even further into the product team because you need to know what's coming down the pike. You should have heavy involvement in freemium or self-serve versions because the product team builds features for the user. But in freemium, you could have a buyer or a user. So what is that journey? Again, you know the people. You know their day-to-day. You are the expert at that. Storytelling. I love my product team. They're not storytellers. They're not, right? They don't think about the moment of delight necessarily. They think about the moment of usability. Right? And so talk to your product team. Get involved with writing the guides. Get involved with what is the first experience they have when they sign up for the free version. Because if you're trying to sell your product with your product and give people a more advanced product experience by using a demo version or a freemium version, like, I don't know, some of our products you go in and you're like, it's blank. Like, what do I do now? Right? And this is where product is like, well, just tell them to click here and here and here. It's like, well, as a product marketer, you're like, yeah, but we need to tell them why or they're not going to bother. So that's really important. And so you tell stories with the product and inside the product. And I apparently talked a little bit too fast, so we have plenty of time for Q&A. I really thought I had another slide there. How to combat the sale turning into a feature fight versus why the feature exists to begin with. I'm not sure what that question means exactly. Okay, sorry.
So one of the things we found is that when we give access to the product, it's so sucked into the feature itself. How you do this, how you do that. And I find myself at the sales process pulling them out and being like, why did we create this to begin with?
Right.
So my concern is about just giving them the tool. Are they getting stuck into something where it's like, I'm doing this thing, and they're like, it seems complex or whatever it is, and they don't actually step back and why I'm doing it.
Right, right. So this is actually very similar to the whole, like, you log into a blank instance, and then what do? And you can just say click A, B, and C versus Y. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, fundamentally, you need to, I will argue with my sales team, honestly, because sometimes they're like, this is a really valuable feature. I'm like, nobody knows why to use it. And so it's really the guides. It's inside the storytelling, and it's it's inside the product storytelling, but it's also wrapping the support around it, right? Maybe your chat inside even was like, it looks like you're trying to do this thing of value. Can I walk you through it? I find that with really complex products, having a clickable walkthrough or a guided demo before they get into it is super valuable. One of our customers has found that if people go through the website demo, like the clickable demo, and then sign up for the free version, it like doubles their engagement with the free version. And so a lot of it is being able to do the story up front, tell them why they're using it, while they're clicking through how, and then when they get into the product, they're not floundering as much.
So just what I'm hearing, our typical sales process would be, we show them the tool. This example would be they're going through the tool, but we still have the potentially the communication.
Yes.
The difference is they're actually.
Right. Yeah, People, if you're deciding to venture into the whole like, people can touch and feel my product, you do have to think about it differently. Like, how do they want to touch and feel it? How do we give them more information out front? And it can be scary if you're in a traditional sales process, because it's like, well, but sales guides them. Sales tells them how to use the feature. Like, why would we let them touch it without sales? And so it's like, well, just because sales isn't in the room doesn't mean you can't message. Technical marketing group owns demos. They focus on technical decision maker persona. That's cool. A technical marketing group sounds really cool.
Here, I get the mic for you.
Yeah, that was my question. Well, it's not a question, just like a comment, because like in our company, we have different groups that focus on different persona in terms of the customer decision makers. So the product marketing managers mainly focus on the strategic decision makers. And then there's a technical decision maker at the customer. That's where we have a technical marketing team that focuses on creating demos and like architectures, like more of the technical proof points.
Okay.
And this was mainly to your comment earlier that like how many of the PMMs are responsible for creating demos. So.
Right. Yeah, it's a very weird thing. I always find that like there's PMMs creating demos at the beginning of the journey, and then at some point solutions engineering comes in, and sometimes there's some overlay, and then the PMMs come back in for the post-sale stuff. I don't know, I love the product marketing role because it's a little messy, but it's a little messy sometimes. So, and as long as your technical marketers are also focusing on story, and it sounds like they are with the proof points, that's a really cool setup. How do you prioritize what to include in a great product demo? Phenomenal question. Or how to determine what the scope of the demo should be. So it depends where the demo is. So let me talk about where a lot of product marketers can own the guided demo, and that's on the website, because that's the easiest thing to influence. And so assuming that you're putting together a clickable demo, it should not be a complete product demo. Should not, because people get lost. They drop off. In fact, what we find works well, so there's two ways you can approach this. One is, if the person on the site you're fairly certain is more of the user persona, then figure out what the wow moments are and put them down. If it's more of a buyer persona, storytelling works really well. Like, what do you do if a launch is late? And you still need to create a clickable demo, and it's only on a developer box. Well, here's how you do it. Or what do you do, like, what's the big pain point that you work to solve? What are the 3 screens or 5 screens with the messages that will help them say, oh my gosh, you solved this problem? And so it really is putting yourself in their shoes. Again, probably not standing in the shower next to them. I'm going to go with that the whole time, sorry. But fundamentally, think like your customer. Do your best to think like your customer and test it out. But it should be short and sweet because people have no attention span. Tools for PMMs to create visually appealing demos. I have some salespeople in the back of the room. But I also, there's very little that can compare to, like, you don't necessarily want to just screenshot, like actually get visual tools going. It's really nice to have designers on your team who can really like kind of make things pop. And so those are my primary recommendations on tools for PMMs, because you do want to self-serve it, and so you'd love to be able to capture your product and do fun stuff with it, but I promise not to pitch. Do you recommend focusing on breadth or depth in website demos? Neither. I recommend vignette focus. But you can do that across a lot. And so we do have customers who have giant pages full of tons and tons of clickable demos. We've got some that chapter them and index them. But they have most of those have a more technical audience, so they want to show more. If you have a less technical audience, then you really want to keep it as simple as possible, right? You don't want to overwhelm them with a ton of stuff. And so I always challenge people, what are the 3 things? What are the 3 things you want somebody to be able to know when they walk away from your website after taking these tours? And then how do I tell that with 3, apparently I like the number 3, with 3 screens or 3 slides, or what's my 3-point story? So much of it depends on your persona, and There you go. Ooh, we have more. Okay, so recommended demo length. Sorry, these are flipping back and forth, and so I'm trying to figure out what I'm answering. There was some things that say recommended demo length. I think that does it. What flavor of demo do you recommend in the disco process with an influencer persona? That's a very specific question. So if you're in the disco process, we usually recommend having some sort of lightweight demo done in a sandbox, done repeatably, and done custom, like to their vertical or whatever, with the influencer. Like, treat the influencer like they are your buyer in a lot of ways that will make them feel important, right? You don't want to be like, well, you're just the influencer, so I don't need to show you much, right? And so what we like to do and recommend is, as you're doing the demo, it's a conversation. You're not talking at them. You're, as the sales rep, you're very much saying, how about this and how about that? And you need to have some measure of agility to kind of go with it. It's part of why we do canned discos and canned demos, is it's much easier. But by having a nice, stable demo that shows the real highlights of your product to the influencer, you can then use that as your conversation piece to figure out where it needs to go next. Why not just create a bunch of great demo videos? They're expensive and a pain in the butt and almost impossible to change. Oh, sorry, bitter over here. Fundamentally, if you've got the resources to create a bunch of great demo videos, awesome. But I don't know about the rest of y'all, but my product changes a lot. And so it's like having to redo a demo for a feature or a launch or a feature set or a use case or whatever every time. Angela would kill me, basically. So we prefer having things that you can swap out screens because it's way easier. Right? Any other questions, or have I gotten lost in this again?
Any other final questions? I can run over with the mic if need be. Okay, let's give Jen a round of applause. Well done. So right now we have a 30-minute coffee break. If y'all want to head over to the main expo hall, you can grab coffee, bathroom break. We're back here in 30 for another hour and a half set of 3 more speakers, and then lunch will follow that. So we'll see you guys back in 30 minutes.